Oh, hi. Good evening. This is Pa City Jaume, and I'm here to present on my semester project on occupational health and safety. Yeah, so this is going to be the outline of my presentation. First, I will make sure that I define the topic that I actually choose, and then the environmental emissions, the occupational exposure, human effects, analysis of regulations, management methods, employee training. So this is the summary part of it, but you will realize that more of it will be discussed in the subsequent paragraphs. So yes, when we talk about occupational health and safety, you will realize that a lot of things comes into consideration, and then as a result, it's important for us to know that certain chemicals really contribute to the environment itself. So based on that, I decided to choose carbon monoxide. Carbon monoxide is basically colorless and then it is odorless. So, and then it is a tasteless gas that makes it really difficult. This is something that you are not seeing. This is something that doesn't have any taste. So as a matter of fact, that makes it really serious to human health. So it's a gas that is produced as a result of incomplete combustion, that is incomplete burning of carbon dioxide containing fuels. So it is significant. It is significant pollutant to the environment because I mean this is something that you are not seeing. So at the end of the day, it causes a lot of havoc in our environment. So one may ask, how do we have or how do we come in contact with carbon monoxide? Yeah, this could be either through industrial operations, through the vehicle we operate on daily basis. Yeah, the smoke coming from the exhaust tank. Yeah, could be as a result of us releasing carbon monoxide. So you realize that we are all not innocent when it comes to handling carbon monoxide in the environment. But yeah, better still, there are preventive measurements that we may all be possibly taken through and then which is amazing definitely. So yeah, we move to the emission aspect of like the environmental emission of it, so carbon monoxide is usually released in the environment because I mean we have vehicles all around, we have industrial industries having their pipes, you know, using it to exhale the smoke outside. So all those, you know, activities significantly contributes to the release of these chemicals. And then yes, this is proven by the Environmental Protection Agency, and then they actually discussed about it at length. So I was able to go through the document, and then I was able to have some sources, some source of information. So yeah, occupational exposure. You realize that some people are really at exposure of this because like those people who know that in countries like Africa, who know that they continuously kept on driving and then providing taxis, and then like they getting exposed to the environment, waiting for the clients to get into the vehicle before they actually depart, not them staying in the car. So you realize that they get exposed to it during their working time. And those people working at the industry, so you know, working at the industry, making, you know, products that actually require some aspect of smoke, they will definitely be at a higher risk of it. And yes, even our firefighters are also at higher risk when it comes to having in contact with this. And what makes it really serious is when there is poor ventilation in the system, at an institution or facility. It really becomes a big problem for one to be able to overcome this hazard. So yeah, one may ask, oh, how, you know, what are the effects of harmful effects of it? Yeah, actually carbon monoxide is really serious because if it enters into your blood stream, it is really serious. Not through only blood stream, but even if it is inhaled, yeah, like it binds with the hemoglobin, you know, and then which readily, you know, have to deal with the oxygen. And then we all know the responsibility of oxygen when it comes to respiration, and when it comes to ensuring that we have that adequate clean respiratory tract, and then the inhalation of a gas, or sorry, of an air which is free from any pollutant. So if this gets into our system, it affects us mentally, like it affects our brain, it affects our tissues, it affects other organs, and then it may even lead to hypoxia. So yeah, and then among these symptoms, because like it actually manifests some symptoms. So among the system symptoms of this, we have the headache. One may experience a headache, one may experience dizziness, and then at a state of wanting to vomit, which is a nausea. So yeah, it may escalate to also confusion and the loss of consciousness, or even in severe situations, death. That is why people who know that they are trapped in a situation, or if when there is a fire outbreak, they die, not because they actually got they got caught by the fire, but because of the carbon monoxide gas, which is really serious, and then it has serious damage to the organs, and then the diseases which are responsible for the normal functioning of human body system. Yeah, so several articles actually discussed about it, and then they've lamented on the diseases that it caused. And then yeah, but let's still, the hopeful part is there is hope, there is hope. And then among that, we have the analysis of regulations. So we have different sectors that are actually responsible for the regulation of this. So we have the Clean Air Act, which is CAA, and they're responsible for ensuring that the carbon monoxide is regulated. And then they have a law which actually binds that to ensure that the primary standard for CO2 is 9 ppm over an eight so sorry, CO instead of CO2 is 9 ppm, over an 8-hour period at 35 ppm over a 1 hour period. So this is a regulation, and then this is something that is mandated, and then all industries dealing with carbon monoxide should follow. So yeah, we also have occupational health and occupational safety and health administration, known as also. They also have a regulation in aligned to that, and then what they say is that according to OSIS pill for these people working at with carbon monoxide, they should not exceed or be exposed to this concentration exceeding 50 ppm over an 8-hour work day. So yeah, moving on to the other regulation, which is the National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health. They also have a similar regulation in attached to it, more especially the in attached to the Clean Air Act. So we also have the safety data seed analysis. They also what they do is the safe like is for carbon monoxide provides critical information to the substances, properties, health hazard, exposure level limits, and emergency procedures. So the SDGs typically includes the following. So what it categorizes is it has a section 2, which is hazard identification, like they're responsible for identifying a highly toxic gas of CO2, with acute effects ranging from headache to death. So that's the category of it. And then we have another category which is immediate action, should include moving the person to fresh air and then seek medical attention. And then the other part, which is the section 8, which discuss about the use of personal protective equipment. Personal protective equipment always comes last, because if you are unable to remove the substance, you need to make sure that if you are unable to eliminate it, you have to substitute it. And then you realize that personal protective equipment always comes last, so it is always the last option when it comes to safety. So when it comes to management methods that are used in this procedure to ensure that the exposure of people working with carbon monoxide, or we the people working in environment living are definitely safe. These laws are also put in place the management methods, and then we have the legal liability management, which is responsible for handling or to generate carbon monoxide. Like the organization that handle or generate carbon monoxide must comply with various regulations to minimize the risks associated with it with exposure. So this is what they are trying to actually put in as a regulation for there to be a compliance. And then this is also backed by the Clean Air Act and Occupational Health and Safety Standard, which is also mandatory. And then, yeah, they all come together to ensure that all the organizations that are dealing with carbon monoxide to comply with various regulations to minimize the exposure of it. And then you realize that if you minimize the exposure of it, you are reducing the risks of it again. So the CO monitoring. So this is a system that is installed, and then like what it does is to regulate the carbon monoxide levels, in the workplace, particularly at enclosed or poorly ventilated areas. So it is fixed at a position and where it monitors that. You'll find this at home, not only at home, but you'll find it at so many places. So its main purpose is to make sure that it regulates, or like it's a regulator to monitor the carbon monoxide level at the house. And then we have the record keeping companies must, like this also a law that must also be in place for companies. So they must always make sure that they have a detailed records of the carbon monoxide exposure level monitoring results, and then this can be collected by the occupational health and safety specialists that they have at that institution, or FS data. So the employees should make sure that this particular thing is installed at work. So emergency response plans, this is in case of when there is a fire or when there is a situation whereby the workers or the people are exposed to carbon monoxide, there must be an alternative plan to make sure that they are evacuated from that particular place before they get exhausted and then before their respiratory tract get filled with this carbon monoxide, leading to their suffocation or in most instances to death. So, they must also make sure that they have that legal consultation. Employees must make sure that there is that legal like they consult with the legal practitioner to ensure that like the regulations are still up to date before their institution get locked up. So training, they must also training employees must definitely be trained on the issue of handling carbon monoxide, not only carbon monoxide, but carbon dioxide in general and other dangerous chemicals. So this must also be enacted, and then workers must also be exposed to this, and then they must know about it. So yeah, and then they must also know the symptoms that are manifested by when one, get exhausted or when one get exposed to carbon monoxide. Among the signs we have the dizziness, we have confusion, we have headache, and then we have nausea and then fatigue. So the use of personal protective equipment must always be installed, emergency response, first aid. All this should be things that are trained to the other people for them to be to the employees for them to be set and then be ready to protect themselves when they find themselves in an emergency situation. We have the engineering controls. We have the ventilation system to make sure that there is proper ventilation system to ensure that there is also systems installation of detectors, CO carbon monoxide detectors. Whenever there is an outbreak or whenever there is carbon monoxide present, it can easily detect that, and then people will be at a safer instant. And then equipment maintenance, because you realize that sometimes carbon monoxide happen as a default in the mechanism system or the operators they are using. So if the system is actually put in place and then fixed, yeah, the issue is definitely going to be solved. And then we have the personal protective equipment, which actually have to do with ensuring that the apparatus they use prevent them from inhaling any contaminated gas that may actually expose them. And then they must also have supply of extra oxygen, since there is going to be an oxygen depletion whenever there is carbon monoxide present in an environment. And then waste management and transfer, who those people responsible for that need to make sure that they are protected. They need to make sure that the gas engines that they are moving from one place to another is also not at a risk of emitting carbon monoxide. So yeah, again, we have they must make sure that there is that air that's also come into in place for ventilation. Yeah, so you realize that this presentation is kind of swift because I'm trying to make sure that I do the presentation within the time limit, and then to ensure that I can easily upload it on the through YouTube for the lecturer to have access to it. So these are some of the articles that I use in order to be able to generate this information. Yeah, so if you find any information missing, and then if you need any clarification on any area, please feel free to let me know. I will definitely be willing to go back and then explain every bit of thing. And yeah, thank you so much for giving us this opportunity for us to do this semester project, coming up with a special or specific chemical to talk about, and then its harmful effects on human population. Definitely, the dangers of carbon monoxide can't be overemphasized, and we all know the dangers it causes in the environment, not only when it comes to causing suffocation, death, and then leading to certain illnesses or certain discomforts such as headaches, diseases, and confusions. So yeah, and then I would love to end my presentation here. Thank you so much for following me.